The word for you today, Wednesday, October 4th, we're our third day of finding common ground. Paul is writing in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 22. It says, "To the weak I became weak to win the weak. I become all things to all men, so that by all possible means I might save some." Again, Paul's main purpose is to lead people to Jesus. In order to do that, he had to find a way. He had to find something in common with them so that they would listen to him. What did he do? How did he go about that? Well, first of all, he looked at the big picture. He didn't just narrow down to one goal. Okay, I'm going to find somebody and I'm going to tell them this. The big picture. He's looking at what they're wearing, where are they at, what's going on. What is some way that we have something in common that we can talk about? Whether they were Gentile, whether they were Jew, young or old, it didn't matter. He would alternate or adjust his approach based on the person. So he looked at the big picture. Second thing is, he asked the group, why? Why is Jesus important? Why is he important to this person? Why is he important to me? Well, because we're all going to face eternity, and we all have a need. So he looked at the big picture, and then there's the question, why? Why am I doing this? Well, because this person has a need. And that need is to be saved. The third thing he did was assumptions. What assumptions are we making that aren't necessarily true? That person isn't interested in Jesus. I can just tell from looking at him. Never met him before, but I can tell they're really not interested in Jesus. Maybe because of a message they have on their shirt. It could be any number of things. You know what's really funny is that sometimes there are people who wear messages on their shirts and it's to keep people away, but somebody comes and starts talking to them, they may be very, very open. Sometimes we make assumptions about folks that aren't true. We had a man go to children's camp with our children, and there was a man there from another church with his group, and he was covered in tattoos from his neck, arms, legs, and the guy told me, he said, I looked at him and I thought, what's he doing here? But by the end of the week, he could tell that the man loved the Lord. He loved those kids. And they had such a connection, and he was telling them about Jesus. And he went up to him. He said, hey, I just want to tell you, I want to apologize. I made an assumption about you that wasn't true. And I just want to apologize. And the guy said, thank you. And gave him a big hug. And sometimes we make assumptions about people that are not true. And then the fourth thing, Paul would ask questions about them and then listen to what they have to say. We need to do that. Get to know the person. Don't be so intent on what we're trying to tell them that we don't learn about them. Remember when Paul was in Corinth and went to the Areopagus? The Areopagus, they had statues after statues, all these statues of these gods that they worshipped. And they even had a statue to the unknown God. And Paul looked at all of this, and he told them, he says, I can tell you guys are very religious, that they're going, okay, yeah. And so they're starting to listen to him. He's talking about the common ground, he's talking about things that they talk about. And he says, and by the way, I know who this God is, that you have this statue to the unknown God. And then he told them about Jesus. And what he did was he looked at the big picture. He asked the question, why? Why do these people need Jesus? And then the assumption, he didn't say, well, they're not interested in Jesus because they have all these other gods. He didn't let that assumption stop him. And then he asked questions. And that gave a common thing. And then they were able to listen to him. They even invited him back to come and speak again. Some of them liked what he had to say. Some of them didn't. But he got an audience. They listened because he found common ground with them. It may take time to be able to get to that point, but it's worth it, isn't it? They are worth it. There was a man that talked about his dad, and growing up, his dad was a farmer. Dad didn't go to church on Sundays, really wanted nothing to do with church or God. One day, a preacher came to town, met his dad, asked him, hey, can I come out, if you need help in your plowing or running a tractor or doing something sometime, let me know. The day came when the preacher was out there on a tractor helping the guy's dad with something. You know what? Dad became interested in Jesus. Why? Because this pastor took the time. He looked at the big picture. He asked, why does this man need Jesus? He didn't let assumption that he's not been interested in God, so he won't be interested. He didn't pay attention to that assumption. And then he asked questions. Hey, can I help you? He served him, and he did, and what a difference that made. Maybe you have a neighbor. Maybe you haven't been on good terms. Maybe you just need to pray for them and look for opportunities to serve them. Hey, can I help you with this? How will they respond? Don't know. But you won't know until you try. It might open the door to commonality where they will listen to what you have to say about your Jesus. Have a good day.